we feel very confident that they see it like we do, which is this is the best deal for Tempe.
We all know better than to believe in this kind of no risk, no cost. What in life is really like that?
The best deal with no risk? We'll find out Tuesday night whether Tempe residents buy that. They're voting on the Arizona Coyotes' proposed multi-billion-dollar 10-year project that would surround a new arena for the hockey team with housing, offices, restaurants, and entertainment venues. So what's at stake for each side in the deal and this vote? And do the Coyotes have a profitable way out? Joining me now is Sam Kmack of the Arizona Republic. He's reported on the Coyotes project in greater depth than any journalist in the Valley. Welcome to Square Off. I am so happy to talk to you.
Thanks for having me.
Just in case you folks don't know, I've reported on this for 20 years, and Sam has really done a fabulous job, answered a lot of really important questions we're going to get to today. You did this recent story, you did an excellent job of laying out the risks and rewards. I do want to know, though, what's the number one question you're getting from voters in Tempe?
Well, I mean, there's been a whole bunch of them. I think a lot of it has to do with how much money the city's actually going to get, because there have been these two economic studies that are just completely worlds apart. So I think it's been hard for voters to wrap their heads around, what exactly to expect in terms of how much money Tempe's going to make.
And I do think it's fair to say that these economic impact studies, and I've seen many of them, are largely speculation. There's so much you just don't know. Right. About what could happen before this is ever built out, if it is built out.
Yeah, no, definitely. I mean, they rely on assumptions. They try to use things like market trend data and make as accurate of an assumption, as realistic of an assumption as they can. But little changes can make big differences in the conclusions. And
so I know what I hear a lot is about, I'm sure you do, is there a tax subsidy for the project? How does that all work? Here's what you wrote. Tempe is paying a premium in future tax dollars to secure the safest deal possible. What do you mean by paying a premium?
Well, so the way that the funding works is that Tempe isn't coming out of pocket for any of it. So they're not pulling money out of their general fund to put into cleaning up the land. They are basically foregoing future tax dollars that are generated on site to help the Coyotes pay back the debt that they take on to clean the land. So, and when I say pay a premium, what's included in that bond program are, according to an expert that I spoke with, items that are typically covered by the developer, but in this case are going to be covered by the city in this weird roundabout kind of way.
So the Coyotes are going to borrow money that's going to be paid for, and the debt's going to be paid off with future tax revenue.
That's right. Yeah.
From the project. What about GPLETs?
Right.
Kind of an acronym. What role do they play?
Okay, so they're basically a property tax break, and it's kind of just like a bonus on top to kind of incentivize developers to come in and build. How it works in this deal is the Coyotes won't have to pay property taxes for 8 years on the vast majority of the project site. On the arena, they get that break for 30 years.
And this all helps them build this.
Right, no, absolutely. It definitely makes it more interesting for them, or more lucrative for them to take the deal. And that's, again, what GPLETs are kind of designed for.
And you also report there's a tax break that hasn't been very well publicized and not very well known. It's what developers get in an opportunity zone. What is an opportunity zone, and why is there one there?
Well, an opportunity zone is very complicated to explain, but essentially what it is a sort of federal incentive that allows someone who goes into a property that's in what's called an opportunity zone, builds it up, invests money in building infrastructure there, or any other sort of building. If they then sell that building in 10 years, they don't have to pay any capital gains taxes on those profits from selling that building, that can be a lot.
It can be a lot of money. And so you describe that as one of the future rewards for the Coyotes that they're banking on.
Right. I mean, they say that they don't plan on selling any parts of it, but that definitely makes it, it's an extra safety net for them, and it could be a lot more money in their pocket if they do decide to sell.
And I should point out that as part of this deal, the Coyotes and their owner, Alex Marullo, are going to own this arena. Is that right?
Right, and that's one of the unique things about the deal, because most of the time with sports facilities, it's the state or the city or the county that owns the property, and the team sort of pays rent. That's not what's going on here. The Coyotes will own it.
And so, do all these tax breaks take some of the risk away from the Coyotes? They have a sort of guaranteed money train coming, depending on tax revenues.
Definitely. I mean, they certainly do have more risk than Tempe, because they're liable for the repayment of that bond debt. So if for some reason they aren't able to pay that back, they're the ones who are held accountable for that, not Tempe. Tempe's just helping them out with it. And then obviously they're also investing another, I think it's like $1.8 billion in building the rest of it. So it makes it less risky, those tax breaks, but it's still more of a risky deal for them than it is a city.
Well, we don't know whether they're investing $1.8 billion. There could be lots of other folks.
That's true,
involved.
I suppose. Yeah. But they're
which is typically the way this stuff works.
Right. I mean, they have to fund it somehow, and so it's their name on the project, and some of their money is definitely going into it directly.
Okay, and the arena is going to build, it's a 10-year project. The arena is going to be built first, and this is along Rio Salado Parkway near Priest Drive.
That's right.
Right, so arena is going up first. In your reporting, you also cite a loophole, a way the Coyotes can make a lot of money in the short term by not developing the entire project. How would that work?
Right, so the development agreement does require that the entire project plan be carried out, but it doesn't say that the Coyotes or their development wing have to be the ones to do it. So in theory, what could happen is the Coyotes clean up the land, that's after they clean it up, that's when they get the deed. And then they could sell that land, which at that point, the entire site would be probably worth somewhere around $100 million. So they could, if they're paying $50 million up front, which they are, they could pretty much clear that entire cost for themselves.
While still building the arena, but not having to worry about building out the rest of the site.
Right, exactly. And there are a lot of ifs with that, because you have to assume that you're going to be able to find a developer who will follow the same development plan and also participate in this bond repayment program, which can be pricey for technical details, but it's a possibility. The development agreement allows that to happen.
Mm-hmm. I have to say, there's one risk for the Coyotes and Tempe that I haven't heard brought up, and the hockey team that's going to be in this arena has lost money for 15 years in a row. They're not that great on the ice. I know the hope has long been that once they get in the East Valley, where they believe their base is, their fan base is, not the West Valley, and that's been the rule for years. That's been the belief for years, that everything is going to change. Mm-hmm. Is there any evidence of that?
Well, I mean, this is kind of part of those economic impact reports, because they have to make assumptions about how many people are going to show up to the games, how many concerts are going to, choose to use that venue for their concert. And some of the assumptions in there, I think voters just have to decide whether they buy into them. One of them was that the Coyotes Arena is going to host 45 events, concert-like events per year, which is 63% of the entire metro area market share. So that's just something
that's a lot. And to remind folks, Phoenix, the Valley, will have 3 major league arenas, more than any city our size, all competing for concerts.
Right.
Somebody's going to lose.
It seems that
there
way.
Isn't. That's a big share of the concert market they're going for. Maybe they'll get it, but the Footprint Center or Desert Diamond Arena in Glendale, somebody's going to lose. And that might be one of the valley-wide risks, perhaps.
Yeah, I suppose it is. I mean, there's definitely the idea that, it could pull all the business away from one of these other arenas, but I don't think that's really on Tempe voters' minds, because this is just a Tempe
It's
election.
a Tempe thing.
Right. Yeah.
All right. Sam Kmack, great reporting. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you.
You can also see all of our Sunday Square Off coverage on 12news.com or on our YouTube channel. Go to 12news.com/YouTube. That's our show for this week. Thanks very much to all of our guests. Thank you so much for joining us. See you back here next weekend for another round of Sunday Square Off.